Thank you, sir. It gives me from my hometown, and I'm feeling so happy today that I am always proud that I am a Coimbatore girl, and I am always happy for that. And that city has brought me up, given me education, given me the knowledge which I am sharing to different parts of the world today. So thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful event, and yet to hear 6 more days from big group of people, and many notable also to me, coming up with Dr. Akila, Dr. Suresh. They are all very good friends of me, and I'm happy that I am part of this wonderful panel. So, starting with today's sessions, we always talk about digital education, and now it is our time. Actually, we are forced to move into digital transformation. Even though, like traditional teaching methods are only the best as of now, even though we find many new advancement in technology, we always feel that traditional teaching methods will give more output. The way in which the student is going to understand what a teacher is sharing is obviously different when we go into the digital mode of education. But what to do, it is all the time in which we have to accept certain change that is happening, and we are into that stage now. And many of us are more reluctant to accept the change, but we don't have an option. We have to go through that. So thank you very much for organizing such an topic, whatever we are experiencing today. So as a note of gratitude, before I start with the actual session, I would like to talk few lines about the organization, the institution which I am associated with. Actually, here there are colleges of technology which are operated by the Ministry of Manpower, which is a government or ministry. We have 7 different colleges in each region, and I am associated with the region IBRA, and the name of the college is IBRA College of Technology. And I am proud part of this esteemed institution, because we were the first institution in the country to get accredited, like how we have NAC accreditation in India. Here we have an accreditation system called OAAA, Oman Academic Accreditation Authority. And the proud part is that it's not only the local people who are there in the OAAA expert committee. We have a group of members from 8 different countries, and actually getting through the process of accreditation is like years together. We have to do the documentation work, upgrading our courses and other areas of improvement we have to show. Then only we are the first level of accreditation. Now our institution has cleared the first level, and we are moving to the second set of application submission. Probably we are planning to go in for an application submission by November of this year, if everything goes on well. Otherwise, we will be given an 1 more year time to submit our application. So this particular institution has given me financial benefits. It has given me knowledge benefits, and also the place in which I have a freedom. I can do my research work in a better way. So I would like to thank my institution for giving me this opportunity, for giving up actually. So before I would like to touch upon what are the topics which I'm going to talk about. I always think about how was the teaching and learning method starting from the earlier period. Sometime back, even many of you would have seen, like I wrote a post on such teaching and learning aspects. So how was the teaching and learning yesterday, today, tomorrow, like that. So in ancient days, like even when we were all in school, we were all with a big set of books, and even in colleges, and still I remember when I doing my UG, my period, they say you can sleep with your accounting books, like that. So it was our way of studying. The approach towards teaching was totally teacher centric, and maybe that was also good. But now the condition is not so. We as teachers cannot follow a typical teacher centric approach. So we are supposed to take up the new next step, where somehow technology is being blended with the traditional teaching method, and we name it as blended learning. But today's world, even blended learning cannot happen. We are into totally digital world. Saga of teaching and learning is keeping on changing. There is no fixed role in which the education sector can prevail for a long run. And obviously, there are many fields in which the technology has more to its part. But education field is little slower in that, because the way in which we conduct exams, or the way in which we handle classes, are not so easier to go in for a change so quickly. So the topic for today, digital classroom. So the main areas where I will touch upon will be an place where we need to have a better focus, and always wherever we focus, our main aim is for students at the center. So how are we going to do keeping students at the center, and impact on classroom, the challenges what all we will face if we are going to a digitalized version of classroom, and possible solution. Again, here this is a part ongoing research paper. So it's certain areas which I have touched upon is my own solution. So here, as most of us are academicians, many of us are administrators, we cannot think any aspect of life which doesn't have a technology influence. Which has a particular field. So education sector also has that change or influence technology, but the rate of this is actually less. Speed in which it is entering into the education field is actually at a lesser pace. And now we are all forced to, and we are supposed to go into a digitalized education sector. Let us think how we were having a blackboard chalk paste system when we were all in school, college, which is now replaced with digital whiteboards. We ourselves use touch screens. We are fond of those colors when we represent different words, which we have to show the differences of meanings, or the way in which it is represented students. We are happy in using the digital whiteboards. And all our overhead projectors are replaced with interactive displays. Actually, these interactive displays are very good to work with. And nowadays, we are having even voice recognition systems. And all books are replaced with digital tablets. But however it is, my personal opinion is only books are good to read, because we are not so much fond of into the light screen for a longer time. So now the first point is to focus on. So focus on teaching using technology, learning through technology, leadership to create a transformative culture, assessment of transformative tools and processes, an infrastructure that enables access and use of technology. So in this only the first 2 points are related to academicians. We can teach using technology and we can also learn through technology and support our students also to use technology in the part of learning. But 3, 4, 5 are more related to the administrators. They are the people who are supposed to provide us and help us to move into the transformed culture. So technology is not one thing which can be done by one particular person in an institution. The administrators itself should decide that the institution to go and transform culture. Then assessment of transformative tools. Many a times, even we discuss with some of our friends or even in some institutions, like sometimes they see some tool technology which has been implemented in a different country, different institution, and that is again brought into the institution. First, the administrators have to check whether this particular tool or technology will be matching the requirement of our institution. So many a times as teachers, we are also forced to go into that technology. We feel that this is not suitable for our course, or this is not the way in which we will teach accounts, mathematics, some courses like that. And an infrastructure that enables access and new technology. So both it should be user friendly to the students and also to the teachers. So it is the bigger role is in the hands of the administrators. And yes, of course, the amount of investment which the management has to do for bringing up the infrastructural developments, that is all still in the discussion stage. It's not easy that on one shot the management can spend so much money to bring in so much of technological influence into the institution. So this is a comprehensive roadmap designed to provide a high quality experience to the students. Especially we always focus on output. It's not about how difficulty we are undergoing, but we mostly think about the level or the quality of output that comes out. So maybe students are will be happier in using technology, which will be helpful according to the availability in their job market. Now, when we keep on talking about what to focus on, using technology for teaching, using technology for learning, and all this technology-based approach in education, somehow mechanical and software technologies are something which we need to use in to have an improved learning experience. So, according to my opinion, there are 3 points which we need to actually think about when we are going to set up with a new modern or technology based approach in education. And this should actually slowly happen. It's not like one night everything is going to change. So when there is more influence of technology, the teachers also come up with certain ideas, so certain tools, and there are many free tools which we are all currently browsing into. We are working on that. We are actually using it in some one or other places. So that's just a trial run. So when everything goes on smoothly, we can also implement the original version through our institution. So there are 3 points which we actually have to remember. One is IoT. Many of us are using, we are still reading, and it has now become a quite old word. It is not new. We have been hearing about this starting from the middle of the century. So whatever is the technology, whatever is the platform we are using, how is that which is more to the teaching and learning environment? Maybe as many of you are teachers, I would like to share few of the tools. Maybe it's not a part of the presentation available, but I can share it. Hope you will also be using it. If so, please give me your comments. If not, you can try using it. The first tool is Poll Everywhere. I think most of you would have gone through and used this. So whenever we teach students a big set of concept, theoretical based lessons or class, so this tool will be very much useful for us. Even end of the session, if you want to collect feedback from students, whether they have understood, they want more practice, something like that. You can have as many number of questions like a feedback form, and we will get immediate results, and we can see whether all students have completed the survey or the part of the questions that are given to them. So that is actually an user friendly tool which will help us to get an immediate feedback. This I have been using, and it's actually very much user friendly. The second and the easiest tool is Quizlet. This also I have heard from many of my Indian friends they are using. The main advantage of this particular tool is that we need not give a conceptual meaning. It's something is already built in, and if you want to make changes in the words, or if you need to give your own idea about a concept, you are accepted to give. But if we don't want, already there are some topics like financial accounting, definition of accounting, some simple terms, so everything is available. The best part of the tool is that every time when a student is signing into the tool, he will get a set of questions. So many teachers who are handling students for their competitive exams, like here we have all our accounting courses mapped with ACCA. So those students who are studying such set of courses will be exempted from few courses when they take up ACCA in future. So that way, most of the questions what we ask is on multiple choice based. That is almost 75% of the question paper is multiple choice. And the remaining is only like problem solving or some detailed answer part what we are asking. So on the part of the teacher, it is also difficult to take 70% of a multiple choice question paper. And here in this part of the world, we are supposed to make as many number of versions possible. So it is not easy for us to make so many versions. It's actually a difficult part for the teacher also. So this particular Quizlet tool will help us even to make questions. So this will have all type of multiple choice options, like choose the best answer, true, false, match the following, fill in the blanks, whatever are the requirements that is needed, everything is available. And every time the student goes with into the tool, he will get a new question, he will not get the same question. And also to keep students motivated in class, end of the session, whatever we have taught until that, we can go for a quiz live. So we can make students to sit in groups and answer. So all of them have to register. Each one of them will get question on their mobile, and they can give answer. So this tool is actually very much useful when we are focusing more on multiple choice options. The last tool, which actually the list is going on, but I don't take much of your time in talking about all that. So the next one is Explain Everything. I think this also is a mobile application. This will help us to discuss with students anywhere, anytime. It is mostly suitable for theory-based courses. It's mostly not suitable for any accounting courses. But for theory part which we need to explain to the students, we can record our voice with the text, send it to the group. The student can see anywhere, anytime. If he has a doubt, he can ask in the group, not the teacher. Any student who knows the answer can give reply. So this can be like anywhere, anytime classroom. That is actually the mostly used for the theory-based courses. And the one easiest tool or the technology is Moodle, which is the only possible way in which the institution can take up. It need not be an individual teacher. So the institution can go into using the Moodle platform, and we have so many options today, live from video conferencing to sharing of as many texts as possible to the students through Moodle. So the other set of tools are much useful, and it is taken up by the choice of an individual teacher. But we need some tools at the institution level, so that there is a common platform at the college level. The second part which we need to know is automation. Many times we have a class of maybe in India it is 40 minutes or maybe maximum of 1 hour class time we have. But here it's all opposite. We have a class of 2 hours for a course. And in between the class, we have a 10 minutes break, something like that. So, but here we have a full-fledged 2 hours class. So in India, the time limit for the class is very limited, maximum of 45 minutes to 1 hour. And in this, a class of 60, the teacher is forced to take attendance every day, and think we need to call each name, and minimum of 10 minutes is spent for the purpose of attendance, and in between some student is entering late into the class. All that happens. Why should not the institution think about automation? So whenever a student enters into the class, either the sensor or his RFID will say that the student is present in the class. And if the student wants to leave the class before the time, his exit time is also recorded. So that will automatically be taken into for accounting for the attendance purpose. So that most of the time teacher's job goes into administrative work. So that can be reduced if the institution goes little automated, not completely, but certain areas they can go automated, so that the concentration of a teacher will be more on handling classes than doing certain other administrative work. And the third one is adaptive learning. So earlier we would have heard about a concept called personalized learning. So this was even there when we were all in school. The simple concept, the weak students are asked to stay back evening. Some special training will be given by the teachers. So to help them to clear off their courses, especially class 10, 12 students, they have special class who are all weak students late in the evening. So such kind of personalized learning was there starting from the earlier days. But now we need to change this personalized learning into adaptive learning method. Adaptive learning is nothing but according to the need of the student. We are supposed to go for a change. Like for example, introducing games in the class. So we have a tool called gamification, and I guess one more lesson is talk about that, so you will get an idea. Actually, that is the way in which we can allow students to concentrate in the class, because in this 1 hour we lose more than 10 minutes for our attendance, or sometimes we are the class tutor, we are supposed to answer so many questions to the students, and they don't have time to meet us outside the class, so we are forced to answer some of their queries during the class time. So this kind of adaptive learning will help the students also to get involved in the course, and whenever they need to recollect, it will be easy for them to understand and think about what the teacher has taught in that particular day, and something like that, where it will be easy for him to remember things what is being learned in the class. And some other maybe I should say it as some tips, like using infographics in presentation. So not only full set of theory is being presented. Instead of that, there are some pictures which will give answer to the concept what we are going to talk about. So somehow we have to bring in little technology and bring it to the pace of the students, so that they will have much interest in learning. So these are the three areas which I want to focus on to get focus into teaching using technology and learning through technology. Now, moving to the important part, that is how we will keep students at the center. Many a times we adopt to a technology, to a tool, but we are not interested in. Maybe by force, maybe the institution has purchased it for a huge sum of money and we are forced to use that. Something like that also happens. This, I should not say this is not happening, even though there may be many administrators who are listening, but actually it happens. Sometimes as an accounting faculty, I myself feel that technology is of no use in teaching accounting. I need only face-to-face interaction with the student to help him to understand and know what is his doubt, so that I can clarify his doubts during the presentation, like that. But this lockdown period has helped me even to realize that only face-to-face interaction alone will, it will not be helpful to teach accounting. Even technology can help me to teach accounting in a more simple way. So that I have understood in this period, where even we had online classes, we had online exams this time. So no exams were cancelled in this part of the country. So we had online exams, we had online classes, assessments, everything happened online and the students were able to do. So such cases, what is our intention and what is the purpose that we are going to use a technology? The main purpose to use a technology is to enable the student to understand the concept what is being delivered by a teacher. So if we are on a regular basis, we should be somehow using educational technology, edutech. That is what, like, nowadays we are keeping on talking. So what particular tool is student friendly? Whether the student is also interested to go ahead with the same technology, whether he is able to use it, whether you are able to deliver your concepts for a better understanding of the student. That is to be checked. Even with best intentions, technology cannot be forced for a lesson. This I very much believe. Even though I'm much familiar, I am happy to use technology. But because of the my intention, I cannot force a student to enter into a technological concept and ask him to learn through this technology only. So something like that cannot be forced. Now the second part is, if a tech tool proves useful, it is incorporated, not the other way around. This is special to the administrator's view, that sometimes the institution brings a better tool, but we have to see how far it is useful to our students also. So it should promote an environment of trust and respect between the teacher and student. It should not be a case like some tool is implemented and the teacher and the student are forced to use the tool. The second one is observing the process. So improve executive functioning skills. Any tool, any technology which is initially brought in, nobody can guess or give an opinion on that. Such cases, we will give an opinion only after it is being implemented and properly used by the particular teacher. So here, time management skills. So using this technology, what benefit the student is gaining, that also should here. Executive functioning skills normally includes time management, organizing during any presentation, assessment, or project presentation, something like that. And the students are encouraged to collaborate with their peers. So many times during our traditional teaching methods, we don't give time for the student to discuss anything inside the class except student-teacher interaction. But technology is not like that, which will help us to have peer discussion where they can solve so many issues with their discussion itself. It need not be something which is going to happen, or the thing where they need a teacher to explain whatever queries they have. The second one is translate to a more flexible learning environment. So here, as of my opinion, every learn is unique. So we cannot compare any two students. So the same way, we cannot compare any two learning environment. So according to the student's flexibility, the technology should be in such a way so he is able to cope up using the technology with the conceptual understanding. The way each one uses technology is different. The teacher using technology in the class and the student using technology for his own learning purpose, both are not the same, because every human being is unique. So when technology leaders provide opportunities to enrich learning with technology, that is learner-centered, and obviously we concentrate more on student as they are our byproducts. Now, the third one is leading the way. How to implement technology. This also has many big round of questions. How to implement technology, because many of us are working for some curriculum development. We are program coordinators, so we know that this part of the course cannot be taught using a technology. But there are some tools which can teach even such difficult part of the work, or the difficult part of the course. So every teacher truly understands how to implement technology. So first of all, we should be given training before the institution converts its classroom into a digitalized classroom. So there should be some adequate training which should be provided to that way the teacher will help them to understand how to use technology, match it with the course what he or she is teaching. The experience should not reduce the effort of the teacher. So sometimes the teacher puts in more effort and it is easy for the student, but somehow I have even a few other points where technology will help us to solve issues after once it is all settled properly. Now, learning experience without diminishing what teachers are already doing. So, something new we should learn, but we should not suppress what the teacher is already learning and what he or she is an expert in a particular field. So, that part should not come out. So, technology should be blended with the actual process in which the teacher is handling the class. Now, moving to the main aspect, digital transformation, how it will impact the classroom. So, it is not very easy to make a classroom into a digitalized version. Not only financial aspects, but other aspects in which particular technology they have to adopt, and it is not easy to shift from one technology to another so quickly. So only by experience we will get to know whether it is matching our classroom or the course, and how easy it will not be easy for us to immediately move on to the next set of technology whatever is available. So the first one is boosting digital equity. So generally digital equity is actually there, but we cannot say it is available 100% because sometimes there are some paid journals for research, which is all not possible for all the students to go in for that. But obviously, whatever is available at the institution level, we are able to go ahead with equity level. So whatever is a tool that is available, that it is available to all the students, whoever need to use that, and there is no restriction that this particular group or the set of students can use and others are not able to use. So allows actually this setup in the institution level will help for lifelong learners. Nowadays, only we are going up with new websites, or even the institution websites are actually working on new added information. So earlier, those days where the website itself was a new concept, so we did not have. So now the institutions are working to bring in what all things that are happening in the college is being added to the website part. So here, boosting digital equity in simple terms is giving equal importance to all the students who are using the platform, and all students are provided with the learning material on equality basis. Nobody is given more part of the text and somebody who is not given. Something like that doesn't happen. Next is customized experience. So this actually is more important for a classroom segment, where we know how this set of students or inside the class, what will be the range of a group of students who needs more impact from us, or I guess somebody is using the screen. Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, thank you. So customized experience is like something when in a group, in a classroom, a class of 60, we have a different group of students who needs, who will be very much unique. Even simple explanation will help them to understand the concept. But there may be a group of students who has to be personally taught to understand certain concepts. So such kind of cases, we should go for some customization according to the student. So the information what is being posted, that should be somehow be taken into a customized format. So special courses are designed based on what courses previously completes. Actually, I don't know now in India also they are following choice-based credit system, and so many other new methodologies are there. But when we move to the rest of the world, like we have a system called a prerequisite course. So a student can take up a course only when he is able to pass and gain certain grade points in a particular course. For example, if a student wants to study financial management, he has to clear accounting 1, principles of accounting 1 with 3.5 grade. And in a particular year, like he should not redo the course. There are so many restrictions to the students. Such kind of customized work or the course curriculum, everything we can bring in according to the level of the students using technology. Actually better than the normal traditional way of teaching. The technology will help us to make even the teacher's job easier. Now, what happens here is worldwide audience. So whenever we are asked to prepare course material or prepare syllabus for a particular topic or a new course, when it comes, many autonomous institutions do on their own, and they have some external experts meeting to discuss with whether this particular courses are matching with the curriculum. They have people from corporates to give opinion, something like that. So whatever we have it as a text can be easily taken to the worldwide audience, and it is benefit as a teacher also, where we can use material from different parts of the world and can customize it according to our land, our student requirements. So here digital learning platforms breaks actually the geographical cultural boundaries. So many times, even when we give an example from a different country, we can even compare with what is happening in our country and what is happening in the rest of the world. Students from all around the world attend and contribute to lessons which create global conversations. Actually, even for accounting, like we have civil engineering group, like that nowadays we are having experts of financial accounting. We have some people who are having interest in financial accounting. There are many groups, and even CFA is promoting such grouping. They are helping the students to learn, understand more on corporate finance. So such cases, it is very much useful, and only technology can help us to take students to a different part of the world. The most important one which will benefit is modular learning. So like whatever is building learning modules. So when we are building any new curriculum, new concept, we ourselves are new to that particular area of study. We can take information, guidance from different set of people, and there are many organizations which are doing this at no cost, at self, like it's like a service organization. And there are many university professors who are involved in creating text for a particular course, which they don't charge anything. It's actually like they are doing on a service motive. So such kind of learning, shift in learning, and also getting in touch with a different group of people who are belonging to the same category. All these things can happen only through technology. So there are two words to actually remember: digital abstraction. This we have been doing for a long time, but now abstraction process actually was happening from the good old days. But the word digital is only now added. because we used to take hints from our teachers or the seniors who have already completed, who would have handled that course, or even students used to collect like some book material, something from the seniors who have completed the course. But here the new added word is digital, that is using technology to abstract and like to have a condensed way in which they can take up the role of different levels, so that it is easy for them to collect material and also to put it to the student how far it will be easy for them. So digital tools, here also many concepts are coming, evidence based aspects. Nowadays there are many of us who have become case writers, so it is easy for us because of technology. We are able to take up a case from anywhere in the world, compare it what is there in our country, and we are able to create and come up with a new case. So it is easy even for the students to do their project work. So evidence-based study, that is also possible only through technology. It was not a simple task when we were actually following a traditional method of teaching and learning. This part is high quality educators. Actually, digital transformation doesn't come only from the administration. Next, it should be a part of the teachers also. We should be provided training by the administration. But even though the administration is ready to provide a training, what is the interest that we are showing into to move into or to ready to use the digital tools? So sometimes the pace in which we cope up to make up and understand the tools and use it in our classes, that time gap is a long time. We are not able to shift to the process so easily. Even I would say this myself as an example, because shifting to a digitalized tool actually has taken much time for me. Like once when I moved from India to here, the setup and everything was totally difficult for me actually to handle. It was one fine day, even I thought that I should go away from here, I should not stay back, something like that, because the pace in which we are able to adopt technology is very slow. Maybe I should say myself as an example, and I am seeing many teachers who are very fast enough to adopt to new technology. So somehow we should be able to transform ourselves in pace with the administrators. So they are spending so much money buying some tools, technology to the institution. So what will be the fruitful benefit of that is we should use it, and how we are using the technology to enable our students to learn better. So that way, in our part also, we should be able to cope up with the using technology in a better way. So whatever is the mode of learning we have, always there is a challenge. There is no particular area that will have some concepts which doesn't have a challenge. So anywhere there is a challenge. Yes, of course, there is a challenge. So here, all these are my opinion, and I should put a disclaimer that it is my own personal opinion, keeping it as a challenge. Reluctant to adapt. So this is the first and the foremost challenge for any educator. Maybe the new upcoming teaching fraternity, they were the recent cleared out students who will be much familiar with the technology. But not all of us are more familiar with the technology. So users are reluctant to step out of the comfort zone. So this doesn't mind only with the teaching group of people. It's also for the students. even students have such difficulty in coming out and adopting technology, because maybe from first semester onwards they would have seen their professor teaching in the class, and coming to the sixth semester, if somebody is asking them to go for an online class, you are supposed to take up an online exam, it is difficult in the student part also. So such cases, it becomes a challenge. The second one is inferior technical knowledge. Actually, this is a major challenge, because many of us have not mostly adopted to technology, and we are not much familiar about what is the tool and how we are supposed to use. And maybe during the training period, we are given instructions on how to use all that, but whatever is instructed only we are using, we are not exploring anything new. But that there might be something new, technical things that will be there in the particular tool, but we are not exploring it, we are not spending time to explore such kind of aspects which are there in the particular tool. The third important one is data cells. So many a times this part is more suitable for an educational institution, because there are some information or some accessible permissions which are given only to a set of group of teachers who are there. Not all the teachers who are there in the institution are given that accessible permission. So that cases also be a challenge. So even in our institution, we are having the same. We have some restrictions, like for example, we save some of our documents related to the classes or our quality work, something like that. But everybody have permission to see that, but nobody has a permission to save or extract details from that. So there are some restricted group of people who are given permission. So such kind of aspects are actually a challenge. The fourth one is lack of strategy. So actually this is what I'm going to talk about even in the next part, lack of strategy. Actually, if this trend has started because of COVID-19, there is a lockdown, and everybody wants to move into digital education, going for online classes, taking up online assessments, all that. So do we follow actually a strategy, how we are going to start the setup, what tool we are going to use, or how is it useful for the teacher and the student, whether they will be able to use this particular tool and get benefit out of that. That all is not analyzed actually. Because of the situation, we are forced to take up, okay, the other teacher is doing that, so I am also following the same set of tool, but I am not seeing whether this tool is matching my course requirements or not. Even at the institution level, because we did not have time to work on a strategy to check what all its pros and cons, and then move on into a new technology. So maybe this situation did not give us a proper time gap to think and then decide. The last one is system based compatibility. So this is also sometimes the institution itself does not have a system compatibility, like they are using a particular method for their day-to-day operations, and immediately shifting to a different version, that will become difficult for the, it's actually difficult. Maybe as an outside person, if we see, we can say the institution can do this, but on the part of the administrators, that is not easily possible. and system educational institutions adopt, or like many a times we see they are not technologically forward looking. It's actually on a slower range. They go in only a medium speed. It's not like an like a manufacturing company or any or other industrial organizations which they take up technology at a faster pace. And also customizing to a particular institution, for that also cost wise it is very much high, because to customize to one particular institution, the industry is actually charging a huge sum of money. That is also a challenge to an institution. So now, even though there are many challenges, all these are mostly set of challenges which we can have a solution. It's not that one which is not at all possible. So the next will be the set of solution, which is also my own opinion. Develop a strategy. So first one is to develop a particular strategy, how to, what is our main aim and why we need digital transformation. What are we going to do inside the class? What are the tools which we are going to give the teachers, students outside the class? And are we going to make everything 100% digital? Or are we going to make a blended type of learning? So there should be a good set of strategy that is being framed by the institution, by the teacher as well. For my particular course, what is the method I'm going to use? What will be benefit to my students? Will this particular tool help me to handle with all the concepts? And will it be easier for my students to understand? Second one is hire, train, invest in skills. This is a big answer to what all challenges we actually have. So whenever there is an appropriate time, we should take up some training. It need not be from the institution side, but as a teacher, we can at least go into a particular tool, try something, and so we will get something. We should explore things. And also we should invest our time in enhancing our skills. Integrate and leverage digital data. So understand where each insight comes from. So when we are using a tool, for example, years before, many of us do not know that we can make editing on a PDF without even buying a PDF version. We might be having a free PDF version in our desktop. So many of us years before, we did not know that we can make corrections in PDF and copy paste in the PDF itself, which need not be a purchased element. It is free, but we did not explore things. That is the main drawback what we are having. If we need to implement a classroom more into a digitalized version, the main thing we need to explore skills, and we need to explore new things. When many a times even students use technology, so it's not a mistake that we are learning from a student. It's actually good that when we are learning something from them, we should be happy. Then integrating and leveraging digital data, developing tools helping institutions to segment data and curriculum. So many times, even we don't have an appropriate system, data management system to store all the data, and maybe the space, the money that is being paid for that virtual space, everything matters here. So how we are going to save the data that is being used, especially into assessment, curriculum, all these areas, how we are going to save those items and we are going to use it in the future. The fourth one is automate. So main constraints towards automation is, one is time, the other one is finance. So both these two, if these two are okay with an institution, going into automation is a simple task. Any company will help them in making an institution automated. So what are the areas in which they need to focus on, how they are going to take it into the level of automation, and it is actually done step by step. It's not just one shot going ahead and doing the job of automation. Now embrace the power of mobile. Here this mobile doesn't mean our mobile, it's mobile learning. So as teachers, we should encourage students on mobile learning. That is anytime learning. That is what is the act of the day. So any time, if that is why we have different tools in which we have peer discussions. And there are sometimes two teachers handling the same courses. Like, I mean, the sections are different, section 1, 2, like that. That plays also. If one teacher could not reply to a student, the other teacher can give solution to a student. Maybe he is from a different teacher's class, that doesn't mind, but the student will get clarification anywhere, anytime. And most of the student fraternity, they have the habit of studying late night, and we people are for to go to bed early, so because we have our own routine in the morning. But even we are facing such difficulty here in this part. They always have the habit of taking it during the afternoon time, because it's peak summer here and they cannot roam out anywhere. And they used to be alive on like a time later than 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, like that. And there will be so many messages which are coming. And that is somehow it is difficult for a teacher to handle. But it's okay. There are other students also in the group who will give him solution to his answer. That is also possible. Now, an app can be created with an alumni to study on market requirements and upgrade the curriculum. This is what we are currently doing. Our institution has created a mobile application using Microsoft Teams. So we are able to collect database from the alumni, and we are able to make changes in the curriculum according to the industry needs. So what are the new additions that we need to make in our curriculum, that we are able to process it. So such kind of things is what I mean as mobile learning. And the last one is experimenting with emerging technologies. So every time we wait for somebody else to explore something and give us a solution. We should be the first one to go into explore something, and we should teach somebody else, so we will not forget things. So like that also, when educational institutions use new technology, experimentation of that and adapting to that is a teacher's job. For example, using voice technology, AI processing, all that. Best example is if you see the Trinity University website. Years before, that particular university website did not have a VR video system. It was a virtual tour that all universities are having. But now the Trinity University website has a institution tour which you can take using the VR processing. So such kind of new additions, which when a new student is going to see the institution website, he will also be happy that he is going into such a new technical work, or he's going to experience all that. That also gives credit to the institution as well. So whenever there is a new technology that is coming, we should see whether it is matching our course requirement and also the institutional requirements. Go into that, explore it, and then try to adopt in the class. So anyway, digital, now we cannot think about a world without technology. We cannot think about a classroom without an automation that is being done. So we are in a platform that we have to go into, move ahead with technology only. So education sector alone cannot stand separated without technology. Like if you would have seen the current London Times paper, there are so around 30% of the bank employees are not filled. That is, the number of positions are vacant, which is not filled because they need students who are enhanced with technology. Because the people whom they are recruiting are not well versed in using digitalized platform in a banking system. So such cases, it is our role also to create graduates who will be useful to the job market, not someone who is going to get his course completed, his certificate, and we should think about his future also. So what is he going to do in the future after completing a course from our particular institution? So that way it is in the part of the teacher and the administrator also to create a better platform to a student. So both for the teachers and the student, the role of administrator is actually a bigger side, who will provide technology, a tool, and also appropriate training to use it properly, so that there will be a good set of graduates. That is what we will create. So that's it from my side.
Thank you, ma'am. We had a very informative session. Can we have the question session for 5 minutes, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can raise your hands in the chat box. Ma'am will answer your questions. Ma'am, can you answer the questions? I think the participants are raising their hands.
Yes, ma'am.
Swarna Lakshmi, it's in the chat box.
I will stop sharing.
Okay.
Okay. Can you read questions? I'm not able to get the questions.
Ma'am, she's Swarna Lakshmi, madam, she wants to ask
if
you.
anybody is raising hand, like I can.
Okay. Swarna Lakshmi, ma'am, you can ask your question now. Next, Dr. T.K. Suvita, ma'am, she's raising her hands.
Yes, ma'am, please go ahead.
Dr. T.K. Suvita, madam. You can unmute and you can ask a question to Nitya, madam.
Yes, ma'am, Kavita, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, how to handle the accounts related classes in the digital classrooms very effectively?
Ma'am, it's actually a very good question. I am being an accounting teacher. Initially, like something was difficult for me to handle such online classes. There is a tool called Claret Sketch. It's a mobile application. You can just try to explore it. So you can write our problems, we can work out, voice record, send it to the student. If a student has any doubt, he can again rewrite on the same page and he can share it with you. This is an option available in the mobile itself. And if you are using Microsoft Teams in your institution or even Google Classroom, we have whiteboard option in the tool itself. So there we can, like how we are using our whiteboard, we can use our mouse and keyboard itself to type our accounting like balance sheet, income statement, whatever we are teaching. But this Claret Sketch is one which I am personally using. So you can also explore and see.
Ma'am, can you please spell it out, ma'am?
Claret Sketch. CLARISKETCH.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Next, Mr. Satish, you can ask a question.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Go
Ma'am,
ahead.
you were discussing about 3 tools, ma'am. The second one, Quiz is there, and third one, Moodle. Can you name the first tool, ma'am?
Poll everywhere.
Sorry, ma'am.
Poll everywhere.
Poll everywhere. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Pushpanjali ma'am, you can post your question. Kavita Mani ma'am. Megha Tangachan ma'am. If you have any queries, you can ask madam. Next, Dr. Mohanapriya Ramalingam.
Ma'am, good
Yes,
afternoon, ma'am. Actually, you told that there are certain prerequisites which you have framed for the curriculum. Suppose if a particular student is not matching with that, then how come he'll be going for the next semesters? Because we are also framing curriculums in our colleges, but we don't give any prerequisites like this. Suppose if he completes a particular paper, then only he'll be able to move on to the next paper. How come we can match with all those? It will be a problem for the students, no, ma'am?
yes, ma'am. Actually, like here the curriculums are mostly like European based standards. So here we have, I mean, the first level, the first semester, if a student studies a course, he studies 5 courses like accounting 1, then or business communication, like that 5 courses he studies. Out of that, 1 course will definitely be a prerequisite if he has to move to the next level. If a student fails in that course, he has to redo the course, and in the next semester, other than that course, he can take any other 4 courses where accounting 1 is not going to be a prerequisite. So in every semester, he is studying 5 courses. At least 1 course will be a prerequisite to move to the next level. Here we don't have year, it's only level wise and semester wise. Any student will be studying any group of courses, and it's, we have the work of advising also. So as an advisor, I will decide what my student will study according to his previous semester grades. I will decide what 5 courses the student has to study, like that.
Okay, ma'am. It is almost like a mandatory course, the prerequisite courses.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Without
Thank
that, they cannot complete, because the main reason is whatever they study in accounting, like the improved version is what we will study in accounting to some
Yes.
more improved version, like that. So without this basic course, he cannot move to the next set of courses.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
There is one more person,
Yes.
Dr. Yamuna, Dr. Yesen Yamuna. Now you
Yes,
can ask your
ma'am.
question.
Hello, good afternoon all. Dr. Nithya
Good
Ramachandran.
afternoon, madam. How are you?
Fine, how are you doing? Going good. Excellent presentation, Nithya madam. You have
Thank
done
you so much,
rocking.
ma'am. Good to
Doctor.
have you in the panel, actually. I'm so blessed today, then I should say like that.
Not like that. You have stepped out and next you have reached to the next level. But in India, the teaching fraternity are still a little bit slower when compared to your country, as you're staying there. Here we usually it is a slow process. Here there are lots of barriers like institutions movement and even the teachers mindset during this lockdown has made us a little bit, we are slow in technology because the mind is not accepting. We are just looking on only the classrooms than virtual classroom. So here your tools, what you have given was excellent one. If you would have the time extended, you would have at least say some of the tools so that the teaching fraternity in the group, say you would have listened to the questions. The raised by the audience was, what was the tool? So they are very much eager. By this session itself, you would have realized that the teaching fraternity is very much, they are just moving to the next level in acquiring what are the different tools we have to simplify the teaching methodology, because we are facing lots of issues. So that when like you being in, you're using it in your college, your universities, and you have graded in the next level. So simplify tools like using for the accountancy, if you give, it will be useful for us. Just we'll practice. Just there are lots of tools, but to practice, which is simplified one in theory and accounts, if you give, it will be useful for us. You just mentioned only two. Any other tools are there?
Yes, ma'am. I'll just write it in the chat box. I think many
Yeah.
of them are asking about that.
Yes.
I will put it in the chat box. I cannot assure how much it will be useful. Maybe like I have experienced using that, especially Quizlet and all. Because when we handle students who are going to write multiple choice set of exams, this particular tool is very much useful. Maybe like once we know the tool, then later on we can explore in that.
Yeah, sure.
I will share it in the chat box now.
Thank you, Nithya. You are rocking.
Thank you, ma'am.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
We have one more question.
Yes, ma'am. Any number, I am ready.
Next is Sri Hari Devi. Can you ask your question?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Nithya Ramachandran, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'm very happy to speak with you. There's such a wonderful speech that you are giving to us.
Thank you,
Shall
ma'am.
I ask a question, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Ma'am, you said boosting a digital equity.
Yes.
Okay. In India, we are facing some network problems. Some
Yes,
people
ma'am.
network problems while we are teaching the classes. Interested students does not have any network facility for some classes, but non-interested students, those who are chat box, they are getting a connection very faster. How we can manage them in the class? We are using a Google Classroom and
Yes.
and Zoom classrooms for teaching.
Ma'am, actually, this is not only the resource, non-availability of resources is not only in our country. Even here, we are facing that difficulty. But we can choose some other options. Like maybe if we are looking at only classes, we are going to only classes, we can use recorded version. No need of much tools to use. Even in PPT, we have voice recording. So we can explain our accounting problems using voice record in PPT. Every slide you can explain whether it is theory or a problem, something like that, and you can send it to the student. That student can download PPT whenever he has a good network range, and maybe he can come back to you on WhatsApp even if he has a doubt. Even on Word document, we have an option to save our record. We can record it, place it in the laptop, and then save it below the solution part of a Word document. So when it is sent to a student, he can listen to that audio and then get back to you. Many places we are having this network difficulty, but we have to anyway somehow cope up with the children. They have to study, not sitting at home like this. So somehow we have to find solutions, ma'am. You can try with PPT. That is definitely working. In PPT voice record, you can stop, record again, like that. It's much user friendly.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Can we conclude the session?
Yes, ma'am.
I now request Dr. Mobi Rajendran, Assistant Professor, to propose the vote of thanks. It's my pleasant duty to propose a vote of thanks for today's session. I thank the Lord God Almighty for making this day possible. On behalf of the Department of Commerce, Bishop Appasamy College of Arts and Science, my personal and sincere thanks to Dr. Nithya Ramachandran, Associate Professor, Accounting and Finance Section, Department of Business Studies, IBRO College of Technology, Sultanate of Oman. Ma'am, thank you very much for accepting our invitation. You gave a new insight into digital education and digital equity, which is very important for every faculty to know about. We were able to understand the new e-learning methods and e-learning tools, and also the challenges faced in implementing them. Really, I thank you, ma'am. My personal thanks to you, actually. Once again, I thank Dr. Nithya for the thought-provoking speech. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, participants. We conclude the session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Nideshna Kuti.